Hi, welcome to the second chapter, the second topic in the electronic commerce, electronic business, e-business course. We're in the video that covers revenue models, value proposition, typical electronic business models. Now, if you remember in the last video, I was talking about my own home-based business called Scrumptious Indulgence, and the byline was homemade cakes at your doorstep, and I had a bunch of flavors to sell, and I wanted to make sure that I do with this according to the science, according to the best practice of electronic business. So in this chapter that you're going to cover with me, we're going to talk about how the money would flow through my Scrumptious Indulgence business. Once I finish with this, I would go back to the Scrumptious Indulgence Wix.com editor, and I'm going to work on some more in the put your learning to practice part of this course, and you would be able to see how the concepts covered in the second chapter are further applied in the website itself. So we're going to move back and forth. A revenue model outlines how the organization or the electronic commerce project will generate revenue. For example, the revenue model for Zappos shows revenue from online sales of shoes. Let me show you the Zappos model. Okay, so we have this website here, Zappos. Okay, and what they do is they sell shoes. Okay, what I want to do is I want to show you the business model. It has a my card, which means we know that this is an e-business, a complete e-business website. So the revenue model for this store is nothing but how the money is being generated by Zappos.com. This is like a case that I'm going to refer to again and again for this chapter. Okay, so just hang in there, be patient. This is a company that uses its revenue model to describe how it will generate revenue, and its business model to describe the process it will use to do so. Okay, so revenue models the major revenue models are sales, transaction fees, subscription fees, advertising fees, affiliate fees, licensing fees are the revenue sources. Okay, students, I did cover this in the first overview chapter, but that was just an overview. We're now getting into details. Since when you sit down with the venture capitalist people, the first thing that you need to do is be able to demonstrate how you're going to generate the money for them. Okay, you have to be able to tell them that if they invest in your business, how would the business grow? Okay, so one of the first things that you talk about is this, the revenue model, because that's the main thing they would ask you, the venture capitalist. When you are standing in front of them explaining your business project, they would say, where is the money coming from? How? Okay, we invest, we give you the seed capital, but how is the money coming in? So you have to talk to them about sales, what kind of transaction fees are involved, what kind of subscription fees are involved, any kind of advertising fees involved, affiliate fees, licensing fees, and other revenue sources. So let's cover each in detail. Okay, we're going to go back to Zappos, and we're going to talk about how the money is going to come. Okay, other examples given here is Net-a-Porter, Amazon.com, and Godiva. Okay, sales. Companies generate revenue from selling merchandise or services on their website. Okay, let's take a look at these websites. Okay, this is Godiva. Okay, and check this out. Join Godiva Rewards Club and receive free shipping. Plus, receive membership benefits online and in boutiques. Sign up. Okay, and save up to 30% on select products. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to point out the revenue model, hidden revenue models in a complete website. Usually websites don't just sell candies. You know, this is a candy store. It's not just selling candy. It's making money out of more than one ways. It's not just the sales that it's covering. Okay, $5 expedited shipping on all orders, $65 plus through 1 p.m. Eastern Time, valid on second day of delivery. Shop now. So check out the offers that they have available, and I'm actually getting very inspired. Okay, I'm going to create a website. When I create my own cake website, because this is like, food website, so I'm thinking of getting, inspiration from this website. What kind of revenue models I can add. Okay, gifts, chocolate, these are the different models that they have. Amazing. Check out the chocolates that they are selling. Okay, and about Godiva, they have business gifts as well. Okay, and we could do something like that in my own website. It's so simple, so simple. Imagine so many things that I can add here. So what I'm going to do is, this is what I do. I'm going to look at other businesses and see what they are doing right now and try to benchmark them. That's the best way to get your business up to date with the market, compete with the market, and match what they're giving with a better value. Give them a better value with a better price. That's what you need to do. Okay, and you know what, since I'm so good at baking, I think I can also make homemade chocolate. Okay, so that would be an extension of my brand. I would just take some ideas from here and apply it to my own business. Funny, isn't it? But this is how businesses do. They try to copy. This is called benchmarking. Okay, so right now I'm in the development phase of my own website, and I'm in the development phase of my own business ideas, development phase of my own business project plan, and whatever I'm doing, this is part of my research. I'm studying the concepts of electronic commerce, and while I study, I'm going to apply them to my own business. I see fantastic opportunities here. So they have the Godiva Club, which means that this is a subscription. If you click sign up, this is the rewards subscription model. Okay, what happens here is you get a free piece of chocolate every month in participating Godiva boutiques. Spend $20 and receive a free gift for the following month. Okay, they are also asking for feedback. Check this out. All these applications added, these are called widgets and applications, added to your website, they make a lot of difference. This is one of the ways in which the website is trying to interact with me. Okay, I do not feel that this is a static 2D website. It becomes a three-dimensional website with these layers, with these questions. Okay, sometimes you would have some kind of a feedback page here, feedback interface here, and sometimes somebody would try to chat me up here that we are online, do you want to talk to us? So then they have exclusive offers every month. So you register today, what happens is that they put you in a list, they provide you with offers. Now what happens when I register? My loyalty would automatically turn towards these people. If I want a chocolate, I would say, oh, I'm registered with this website, I'd rather get chocolate from Godiva, nowhere else. Okay, and I know I'm going to get more value. I'm going to pay less, but I'm going to get more from Godiva. And what does Godiva get out of this? It gets a loyal customer base. Okay, it gets a steady income from these customers. These are repeat customers, and they will not go anywhere else, and these things just keep changing. The rewards and the degree with which the value is provided to these people in turn just keeps getting better. So it's a win-win situation. And what do I have here in my website? I think I need to do a lot of homework. So by the end of this chapter, when I'm done with this chapter, I'm going to go ahead and apply these concepts, maybe even copy and paste, but then change into my own words, so that I am competing with Godiva now. I am nowhere close to Godiva at present, but if somebody who visits Godiva goes to my website, Scrumptious Indulgence, they'll be like, hey, they're also offering the same things, but you know what? They're asking for a lesser subscription fee. And then, hello, they might say suddenly, they'll try one chocolate or one piece of cake, and if they like me, they'll be like, you know what, Godiva is great, but this is not bad either. And they would try to move to me. So this is how you get a market share. Okay, and by having an electronic commerce business up there, the bad side of it is you are also exposing your winning secrets to competitors. And this is how competitors, they benchmark, they copy best practices and strategies that are working for one business for their own business environment, and there's nothing wrong with it. It is not illegal at all, which means that you have to constantly look out for best businesses. You have to constantly look out for the stock market, that about the businesses that are doing well, and try to get into their website and study their strategies, study their processes, and apply it to your own business. Okay, let's go back. Okay, another one that I had here was Net-a-Porter. This is the world's premier online luxury fashion destination. Okay, when I read this byline, immediately I know that this is like a high-end, high-style designer website, a brand website. So when I go back to my own Wix.com, I know I have a byline as well, which means homemade cakes at your doorstep. This is what I'm doing. So what I'm trying to say here is these bylines, they say everything about the business. They are short and concise, but they have a very big meaning behind them. Okay, so okay, they have a lot of things available here. Let's go back to the class. Okay, so there's a sales model. Okay, they sell an item and they make profit out of it. Then they have a transaction fee model. Businesses can have a transaction fee model, and in this model the company receives a commission based on the volume of transactions made. Okay, for example, when a homeowner sells a house, he or she typically pays a transaction fee to the broker. Okay, I'm going to show you a very famous real estate website, and I'll show you how the transaction fee model works. The higher the value of the sale, the higher the total transaction fee. Okay, alternatively, transaction fees can be levied per transaction. With online stock trades, for example, there is usually a fixed fee per trade regardless of the volume. Now, transaction fee is like a commission. Okay, you have you go into a real store, and somebody, for example, you go to a furniture store and you buy a big couch, and the person who's selling the couch, in the showroom, in the floor area, this person has been entertaining you, this person has been guiding you, giving you specifications about the different pieces of furniture, and you finally decide that you want to buy the sofa. And once you pay for the sofa, the person who has been with you all this time also receives a certain percentage of commission of the sales. Okay, and this same model is applied in the online environment. Okay, and it is known as the transaction fees model. And what happens is that in the companies that are selling different brands, like this business here, they're selling a lot of brands here. The moment they sell something, what happens when they sell something? The moment they sell something belonging to any brand, for example, let's look at the shades out here. Chloe, Valentino, all of these brands are selling on Net-a-Porter. And supposing I buy something like this, and okay, it's very expensive, but I would like to add to the shopping bag and I buy it. A certain percentage of 2,705 pounds is going to go to Net-a-Porter. Net-a-Porter is doing the same job as that person in the furniture store that had been guiding you all this time. So Net-a-Porter is also going to receive a transaction fee or a commission of the amount. Okay, and I can give you a lot of examples right now, but I'm just going to move on, and I'm going to keep bringing up these examples, because this is how this course works. You need to make sure that you have, I need to make sure that you have plenty of examples so that you can benchmark from them. Okay, alternatively, transaction fees can be levied per transaction. That happens in the stock trade. Okay, I wanted to show you something within the real estate. Just hang it there. Okay, this is a typical real estate website, Remax, very popular in the United States, and I am actually looking for homes in the USA, and I'm going to refine my search. But okay, what area am I looking at? For example, if I go to Ashburn, there are 8 homes for sale here, and I want to buy something within 607K range. The pictures change, okay, and this is the one. I'm going to look at it, and then the name of the agent behind this home should come up. An agent who is, yes, if I request for more information on this property and I submit it, the agent who is responsible to sell this house is going to contact me, okay. And what I'm going to do is, okay, I've decided I really like this place, I really want to buy it. What I'm going to do is, I am going to call up the agent through here, and if I finally decide to buy this house, okay, at 607K, at least a percentage of the sales will go to this agent, and the rest would go to the bank, okay, or the owner of this house. So most of the time the agent fee is between $5,000 to $10,000, okay, on sales of one home. So this process of making money is known as transaction fees. The next model that we have is the subscription fees. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to the next video for covering the subscription fees. See you shortly.